Ye Diwali Muskaan Wali, and that is a Diwali theme on Etina of this Samvat. Smile and satisfaction. And how can you keep the smile going? The year gone by has been a year when investors have smiled. If you bought large cap stocks, the smile was small. If you bought mid and small cap stocks, the smile perhaps was bigger. But my guest on the show is someone who always smiles. Doesn't matter it's a bull market, it's a bear market. Smile is his virtue, and smile is always something which you can associate with the minute I say Madhusudan Kela. So nice to have you back. Yeah. Thank you for always smiling. Thank you for always guiding our viewers. Yeah. We've interacted for more than 30 years, and let me tell you personally, I have benefited from your wisdom, and our viewers have also benefited from you. I mean, you've come in times, Madhu, where the market has gone through precarious moments. And you just come back and endorse that what is right, what is wrong, what to do, what not to do. So thank you, on behalf of everybody and every viewer who's followed you from 20 years.
Thank you so much, and it's always been an honor and pleasure, and I've seen you grow. Feel very proud of seeing, from where you started and where you have come. And my best wishes as always. And I'm sure the best is yet to come.
Thank you very much. Best for India is yet to come.
Absolutely.
Okay. The year gone by has been a good year for equities in general. Even though the moving parts were scary inflation, high interest rates, Fed central bankers were tightening, flows were not that great. But in general, equities globally and locally have done better, have done well.
Nikunj, what I would say that, the broadline indices have actually not given any meaningful return, even in the last 2 years. If you look at Nifty, it is broadly a 3 to 5% range, So it is not given that kind of return. The real money is being made if you have been able to identify a theme, right? Or you've been able to identify some good companies within the theme. Because see, when there is an stability, see, in this kind of a situation, actually it's a miracle that the markets are still stable. Mm-hmm. That is what my point is, that this is the real India story, right? In a way, now the whole story is out, Nikunj. It's not that anyone needs to discover India story. Sabko pata hai, including the lowest denominator person, that it is a growth is here, worldwide economies are struggling, India is growing, there is a policy, there is a cleanup which has happened, etc., etc. The whole world actually recognizes and acknowledges. And I feel so proud when you go to London, you go to then go to a restaurant, you go to a shopping mall, anywhere. That respect is visible, right, in any part of. Yeah. So India is there, right? So when the story is so well recognized, it's not going to be easy to make money just generally just saying that you put bet on India and you will make money. That is where the real opportunity as well as the challenge is, that where do you put your money and where that is what I think is the real theme. The other thing which I want to emphasize, Nikunj, that unfortunately, when you invest into any other asset class, gold, silver, real estate, bond, fixed deposit, you don't look at even 1 year horizon. Right? Even when you want to make an FD return, you want to look at 3 year में मेरे को maximum कहाँ मिलेगा, 5 साल में maximum कहाँ मिलेगा. Real estate तो लोग आदमी लेके भूल जाते हैं. Then they are not bothered to look at 10 years, 20 years, right? Then why have a myopic view about equities? I'm saying why review, because the prices or ticker is coming every day. And why have also unrealistic expectations? See, the problem is this, that everyone wants to get a stock tip and double or triple the money. So my message to your, people who are really now, there are a large number of investors who have come. Have realistic expectation. Ultimately, it's an investment you're making. It's not any speculation. It's not a horse car sale that, we are speculating. Eh? Second thing is have a time horizon in your mind. And third, ask the right question. People always are asking wrong question. क्या लेना है और कब लेना है? The right question is कितना लेना है और कितने समय के लिए लेना है? Right? So if you ask the right question, then you will get the right answer.
So let me ask you the right question.
Yeah. Absolutely.
कितना समय के लिए लेना है?
हाँ, तो मैं तो आपको पता है, you know the answer. That is what you said yourself. The only thing which has worked for us is the faith in India. Right, over the last 30 years, whenever we have always looked at any crisis and an opportunity. Sometimes we may be a little ahead. Sometimes we may have to hold our companies for a little longer time. But net, look at from where I came and where I am not complaining, right? I think, and that is the opportunity which was there. And trust me, which I was talking to you informally, I'm not happy with my performance at all. I think
you are not happy with your performance?
Not at all. I'm not at all. I'm saying the kind of opportunity which the market had in the last 20 years. And we will
that
run
data point will just come up on your screen, and let me establish that data point. Now these are the correct numbers, and this is not a typo, this is not a percentage error. And if you look at what stocks have created and how they've multiplied, and some of the names you can recognize them. 10-year and 15-year, if you look at the data, some of the names which are there on your screen, these are, let me count, 4 lakh %.
Look at that is what I'm saying.
This data, of course, courtesy has come from Madhu.
How many companies do I have in my portfolio? How many companies did I hold it for 20 years and 10 years and 15 years?
But can the same again happen? Or this
it will happen.
Okay.
It will happen. It will, even in America. You look at how the kind of money which was being made in technology sector. It is a developed market. You do the same data from the bottom to the peak in 3 years of that COVID period. What kind of money and return was being made in technology sector in America? Maybe the extent will be different. And that is the key message. The real opportunity is to believe really in India, have a long horizon and bet on these companies and hold them for a period of time.
So, in your endeavor to buy some of these, not multi-baggers, but mega-baggers, I'm using a new word, never heard this word mega-bagger. We've always used the word multi-bagger. Multi-bagger is 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x. What we are talking about here, mega-baggers.
Yeah.
Your 1 rupee has become 1,000.
Much
That's
more.
the
Anyway,
data. Much more. I'm just putting.
More, yeah.
So, when you are looking at identifying as an individual investor a mega-bagger, how do you start? What do you look at?
So, obviously, we have not got it right. This is why a lot of these companies are not in our portfolio, right? Otherwise, they should logically be in our portfolio.
Sir, we can only figure out in hindsight what will go up or down.
But I am saying now, in a hindsight, what I am looking at, a lot of these companies, they are a part of a big theme.
Okay.
So, whether consumption has played out as a theme, financial sector has played out as a theme. A lot of these companies have benefited tremendously from a tailwind, right? That is one thing which is very clear. Second, when you really make disproportionate return, you have to really buy cheap, right? And that is the point that because of the external factor, निकुंज हर 30-5 साल में बाजार में कोई ना कोई कारण से एक सुनामी आता है. The names are different. कभी गल्फ वॉर होगा, कभी ऑयल प्राइस होगा, कभी कोरोना होगा. The names are different. But there is a tsunami which comes when there is an absolute sale in the market. Right? And will that one again come in the market? It will come, I can tell you with experience for sure. Now whether it comes now, 1 year later, 3 years later, it will come. That is the time we need to have that wisdom, saying that, okay, see the kind of bet which Rakesh Bhaiya took on COVID time.
Yes.
Yeah, we all know and we all remember him very fondly. He was the only man who said he was very concerned about the human life losses, very sympathetic. But he just said that this is a passing phase and it will pass by. And which is why he could buy all those blue chip companies at throwaway prices. Wherein blue chip companies have gone up 20 times.
Yeah, COVID, I mean, the data again will just come up that, the mid-cap index is up from the COVID low, actually about 3x.
So, but there are individual companies which are up like 10x, 15x, 20x, and a lot of good large companies, I'm saying.
So, Madhu, Enam or the House of Enam uses a simple philosophy. When you're investing in the market, look at Bhav and Bhav.
Yes.
Price and sentiment. The price in the market is not great.
It's not great, I agree.
24 karat gold is trading at the price of 24 karat gold.
Yeah.
And the sentiment in the market is also not very, very scary. So why should one make investments right now? Because when Bhav, which is price, and Bhav, which is the sentiment of the market, they both right now do not offer an opportunity.
I see. That's not the point. Because what we are talking, this is like, for really professional, very, but majority of the money in India and all your viewers, there is 160-170 lakh crore रुपया आज बैंकों में पड़ा है.
Right.
How much return are you making?
That's 5-6%.
5-6%.
Pre-tax.
That is my competition.
Yeah.
Vis-a-vis equity, that is my competition. So all of that money can't wait. That जब एकदम कभी कोई crisis होगा, then only we'll put the money. The case which we are making is, yes, there are pockets of exuberance in the market, and we have to be very careful that we don't get driven by that exuberance by any small company, by any company which is getting listed on the SME exchange. So to that extent, I agree with you. You have to be very careful in this kind of market because the worst of the mistakes are made in the best of the times, right? And these are really best of the times. Having said this, I would still argue that there are pockets of opportunities which are available, may not be to make these kind of returns, but to have equity as an asset class which will possibly outperform every other asset class in India in a long horizon.
Fair point.
That's the only point which we're making. Okay. So where are those pockets is the real moot point, and how do you really grill down on those pockets, and how do you come up with individual companies which have a real long tail ahead of them.
Okay, so I'm just getting into that discussion. Where are these pockets? Like you identified financials and consumer. I remember you bought a lot of pharma companies really ahead of the curve. And जब pharma की बात करते हैं तो मधु के मुंह पे हमेशा smile रहती रहती है और smile और बड़ी हो जाती है. So we'll talk about pharma. But I want to ask a very basic question. It's a question which everybody wants to know from you. Because the run-up in the small and the mid-cap space and the SME space has been so large, the general consensus is that there is bubble and there is trouble. Is there a risk to Indian markets purely based on valuations?
Yeah. So I think there is a time correction. Every good asset class, if it is a good asset class, it will never give you a significant price correction. If it gives you, then it is not a good asset class. Like what happens to the property market in Bombay, right? Whenever there is a correction, it's a time correction. In my opinion, markets are already going through that time correction in a broader market, not in the small and mid cap, but in the broader market. We spoke, Nifty has not given 5% return, and we are in the midst of a big bull market, right? So there will be a time correction. I don't expect that any 30, 40, 50% of correction, unless there is some black swan event, there is big political instability in 2024 election, or something globally really goes wrong, world war kind of thing. Both that is impossible to predict, and we can't wait for those events to make investment. That risk will always be there, and we have to carry with that risk, right? So that is so I don't expect any massive correction.
Okay.
5-10% correction will happen, and time-wise correction will happen. Now, if that is the broad setup, there is $4 trillion already of the market cap. Yeah. There is 50% of the equity which is owned by institutions, which means $2 trillion have to be compulsorily owned by institutions, right? So there will always be some stocks, some themes which will work out, even in a market which is stable and not correcting big time. So I'm just coming to the same point, Niku. If you ask me, is it that real screaming opportunity where I can thumb the table and say that bangdi bech ke share le lo? May not be that is not the case. But as equity investors, we have to stay in equity. So we are still able to find those opportunities which are still able to perform every other asset class and make decent return.
So, are you fully invested? Are you personally batting on the front foot? Or are you on the back foot in terms of the commitment levels?
I think I am invested. So I have some cash, which is not my normal course. But I am always ready. Right?
By and large, on the front foot.
I am always ready. If I get an opportunity, I'll invest tomorrow morning also.
You're looking for that full toss.
I am just waiting for that real right opportunity, and if they keep coming whenever they come, we are always looking to invest. And you see, in the last 2 years also, we have made a lot of commitments, a lot of companies. Where they will go, only time will tell. But we are ready. with our emanation to invest in the company, they offer real opportunities.
Okay, I'll get that graphic again, and you know what we spoke about, that how some of these stocks in 5 years and 15 years have just given returns which frankly you have to close your eyes and say, okay, is this real? But the reason why some of these companies have done well, Madhu, is largely because you mentioned there was a tailwind. I'm just breaking this down.
India tailwind.
India tailwind.
The biggest thing is India tailwind.
That is still there.
That is still there.
Okay. Second, for example, you spoke about financials. Great tailwind. Private banking space, PSU becoming private. Then consumer. Indian consumer started consuming more. Rich people getting richer, and you know, middle class moving higher. To your mind, which are the 2-3 themes where you think there is significant tailwind for next 15 to 20 years now?
Great question, Nikunj. And I think all of these discussions which we are having about market valuation, this, that, it is all relevant from a 1-2 year perspective maximum. And I think any correction to my mind is an opportunity, if at all, if it happens, right? But if you are a 15-20 year investor, I think this is also a great time to buy companies. But because, you know, where in the world, Nikunj, tell me, there is a certainty of earning, that you can be certain that even the large companies will grow at 15 to 20%. Tell me one market in the world. One market in the world.
Actually, nothing apart from India.
Right? So there is a certainty here. And there is a kind of money which we are expecting. Right? I will be personally very surprised that after May election, political instability, if $100 billion doesn't come in India through bond and equity.
Yeah.
I'll be personally very surprised.
Okay. 100 billion.
100 billion, through bond and equity.
Yeah. And the normal inflows are 15-20 billion every year.
No, I'm saying, but it will come.
Okay. Fantastic.
Through FDI, through all means. Which means all our macro situation will still be balanced. Right? And this will come because there is a clear problem. We can see the trouble in the Western market. You know, today MSCI World India weightage is 1.5%. Why? If our GDP weightage is 3.5%, why our weightage should be 1.5%?
It has to change.
It will change, right? And it will. There are people who react. So I am saying, from a 10-15 year perspective, I am working on 4 things.
Okay.
One, carbon neutrality.
Okay.
I think it's a very big theme, in my opinion. And this is one theme which is coming. ये क्या है भगवा धीरे धीरे आ रहा है तो we are not able to comprehend how big this trouble is, but in my opinion this trouble is very large and this is a survival trouble. So government, policy makers, business people, they will do everything possible. Now when I look at the broad trends, what is Mukesh Bhai doing, what is Gautam Bhai doing, what is Sajjan Jindal doing, what is Elon Musk doing, they are all doing something to solve this problem.
Yes.
Right? Yes. So that is one thing which is already in the works, but I think it will work in a more accelerated manner. Second, I think something meaningful changed in the world of artificial intelligence and AI last year, when they really cracked it. Now, these are very early days where the destruction of wealth will happen and where the creation of wealth will happen because of artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence in itself is not an investing opportunity, but the companies which are enabling themselves using artificial intelligence, getting their cost structure altered, getting the time significantly shortened. So there will be a lot of case studies, Nikunj, over the next 5-10 years of companies which will tremendously benefit. And also companies which will tremendously get hurt.
Of course.
So these are early days. We are started evaluating. We have put one dedicated resource only to track this. In my office, there's one dedicated resource, 24/7, only does this. Right?
Wow.
This is the second. Third, I think cyber security will be a very, very big business in times to come. We are already seeing. Right, like you know what is happening. AIMS Hospital, a small pharma company in Hyderabad, having cyber attacks. Right, these are things, and this is a $200 billion business worldwide. Name 5 companies which
That's
are listed.
as large as India's IT exports. India IT export is 250 billion, and cyber security is 200 billion.
$200 billion worldwide.
Yes.
So this will happen. So this is the third point. Third, new technologies like biotechnology, where there will be some breakthrough. Movement, genes technology, but I don't understand too much. We are still studying, etc. But I think These are 4 pockets which I will bet on to identify some real winners for real long term.
Have you made any investments in these 4 themes?
So I made one investment. It's an unlisted company called Waaree. We made a significant investment 1 year back. I think this is an interesting company to watch. They are already bagged significant orders in the last, right now again, last 2-3 months, some panel prices are up, down, but we are not taking that view. I think this is a real long term. This company should be interesting to watch for.
So you're happy to bet on energy transition for next couple of years? It's not like a 1 year.
No, it is not. It is not. And I am telling you, hopefully I will not commit this mistake now. That if we get the theme right, just because the stock price goes up 3x or 4x or 2x, we are not going to sell it in a hurry.
Okay. How are you betting on the other 3 themes?
We are working, Nikunj. We are working relentlessly, and I am sure we'll find something or the other.
If I look at public data, there are times when your name in block deals it pops up.
Yeah.
Which means you've made a significant investments in last 2 or 3 years. But I don't see you investing in large cap stocks now. I don't hear about you investing in very mid cap
But large cap,
now.
there is no announcement which made.
So you're investing in large cap and mid cap also.
Large cap,
so it's not that you're only focusing on mid and small cap
we are
stocks.
investing in large companies, of course.
Give us a flavor of a large cap portfolio.
See, I don't talk individually.
ये दिवाली है. दिवाली है, मुस्कान वाली है.
हमें बोला जैसे ग्लेनमार्क है. Would you clarify it as a mid cap? It's a 20-25,000 crore market cap company. I own Aditya Birla Finance. Would you classify it as a smaller mid cap company? So there are a lot of investments which I have owned Dalmia Bharat for now almost 5 years. So these are all I own Gujarat Fluoro for 5 years.
I distinctly remember some of your very super calls at the peak of the COVID. You came on in ET Now and you said the following: भाई 3 जगह बहुत वैल्यू लगता है. भाई 3 जगह बहुत वैल्यू लगता है. PSU banks, PSU across the boards, and Pharma. Now, last 10 years was between 2010 to 2020. PSU stocks were called as the ugly ducklings. Now they become the swan. They become the center stage. If there is a company which has a prefix PSU or a suffix PSU, that stock has done well. क्या लेने का? PSU लेने का. That's really been the theme in last 1.5 year. Has that one-time re-rating in PSU, defense, railways, banks, is that over?
I think there's significant appreciation which has happened. Okay. I wouldn't basket it saying that it is all over. There will be individual companies. Maybe the pace of growth, pace of returns will be definitely not as good as it has happened in the. Let me give you some data. In the entire PSU basket, 3 years back, market cap was 14 lakh crores.
Entire PSU?
Entire PSU.
Including SBI?
Including SBI, including banks, including defense, including railways, including everything, including HPCL, BPCL, all companies, was 14 lakh crores. 3 years later, the entire basket is 45 lakh crores.
Almost 4x.
Almost 3x.
3x, yeah, 3.
14 lakhs
45, yes.
45
yes.
3x, almost,
yeah, almost 3x.
More than little 3x. But there are individual companies within this basket, of course, they have given like 500, 800, 1000%, 1500%, 200, 2000% returns, right? So I think, to say that the entire rally, and this is clearly the leader of this market. PSUs are clearly the leader of the market. I wouldn't say that lock, stock, barrel just because the stock prices have gone up, just sell everything. I still feel that, PSU banks are quite compelling. They are still trading at, 4-5 times PE, less than 1 time book value, if I have a 2-year perspective. How can they peak out when the earning cycle is still so strong? There will be consolidation in some of these companies which have seen significant returns, but I don't think they have peaked out.
You talked about 4 themes, but you missed on talking about your favorite theme, which is Pharma.
So Pharma is a short-term theme. I would say you asked me 10 years, 15 years. For Pharma, I think next 2-3 years, specifically the mid-sized pharma companies. And let me explain this, Nikunj. Why did they do badly? In last 4-8 quarters have been very challenging. There was a clear-cut logistical problem, which was there because of COVID, import coming from China, logistics cost going completely haywire. B, because of the COVID, there was no real inspection which happened in a lot of pharma companies. So whatever drugs were approved, clearly everyone wanted to produce the approved drugs only. Factory to run karna hai na. So there was a tremendous pricing pressure on in the US market, specifically on the generic side. That is the third point. Fourth point, of course, because of the COVID, you know, the other casualties. आप घर से ही नहीं निकलोगे तो accident कहाँ से होगा या कुछ. Everyone was just wanting to postpone whatever was the other element. So I think combination of all of this weighed down. But if you look at all of this have got solved now. US FDA commissioner coming to India and talking. And you know, I'm not a technical expert, but I'm being told there are at least 100 drugs in the US where there is a shortage. Right? So and if I look at companies' performance, specifically in the last 2-3 quarters, 4 quarters, a lot of these companies are showing improved performance. But it is not reflected in the stock prices. Large companies, Sun, Dr. Reddy, Cipla, Torrent, that is definitely visible on the pharma index also. But some of these mid-sized companies have not, is not reflected. So I would say because of these factors getting resolved and also because of the severe underperformance of these companies vis-a-vis the broader market. And third, because any company, according to me, which really deals with US FDA, European markets, generally will have to have some basic standard of corporate governance. Otherwise, I think it's very difficult for these companies to deal in those markets. I'm not making a general rule, but some of these companies are well governed.
The threshold has to be good.
When the performance comes, I'm sure markets will recognize.
When you look at Indian promoters, when you looked at them and when you met them in 20s, 20 saal pehle, 10 saal pehle, and now, what is the difference you see?
Big difference. Big difference. I think the first and the biggest difference is there is respect for equity.
They care about minority shareholders?
They care about market cap.
Okay.
They care about themselves first.
Okay.
You know, because they see that all of these market cap which has got created, it is actually real. They have seen a lot of their peers actually get out. They've seen a lot of their peers sell partial equity and enjoy the wealth. So 20 years back it was company से मैं कैसे पैसा निकाल सकता हूँ. अभी general ये mood है that you know we want to respect, we want to be clean. So that is a big mindset change and partially also driven by the government policies. तो अगर जो चोरी करना भी चाहे तो उसके लिए possible नहीं है.
Taxes are low, GST is kicked in, digitization
and plus
is there.
There is a vigilance. You know, all around there is vigilance. It's not easy to manipulate things. Not possible generally. So that's one big change which I see. The second big change which I see, because of the severe debt problem which happened in the last 10 years where people borrowed through the roof, etc., right? And so many people had to actually go to jail, right? There is a general consciousness to keep the balance sheet in check. So people don't want to borrow excessively, they want to keep the leverage in control and they want to make sure that the growth, and when the growth happens out of internal accruals, that is the most rewarding growth. And that is what we are seeing. See the kind of returns which you are seeing in some of these mid-sized companies is also the result, apart from the broader India opportunities, also result of recognizing these 2 or 3 factors. That we don't want to over leverage our company. We want to make sure that we want to have governance and standards, being followed up. So big change, Nikunj.
Okay, couple of last questions. I'll take the clock back, rewind करते हैं, fast forward बाद में करेंगे. When you started your investing career 32 years ago, am I right? 32 years ago.
Absolutely.
The shape of the Sensex, and that time it was Sensex, it was not even Nifty. The shape of the Sensex was very different. It had automobiles, it had a lot of steel, it had a lot of commodity, it had textile. Company these thi, but the composition was different.
Sure.
Today the composition is financials, IT, consumer.
And their weightages have gone up significantly. It's a new India, basically.
New India. This is 2023. Since we are talking about the 10-year theme, and we've spoken about 4 themes, hypothetically, if you were to talk about the composition of the market, whether it is the Nifty composition or the market cap of profit coming from, what could it look like? Because that's what we need to focus on, right?
I think there will be significant change. If you look at American markets, how many Dow stocks are still there which were there for 50 years back. You will find maybe one or two companies which are still there. You look at any developed market, change will happen, and so will be case of India. If when I look back 20 years later, I am sure a lot of these companies, which are large companies, may not be in existence 20 years later unless they really change themselves. They really reformat themselves. Like what is Reliance Industries doing today?
Yes.
It was an oil company.
Polyester.
But is it an oil and a polyester company any longer? Right? It is a completely different company. Maybe 20 years later, it will be a completely different company than what it is today also.
So Indian entrepreneur is actually changing and they're adapting with the times.
They will have to adopt.
That's
they will have to adopt.
So Madhu, one question which I think everybody wants to know from you is that, okay, now like you said, even the Panwala knows that India is in a great position. Equity is a good asset class. SIP has become the new EMI. 10 times SIP has gone up. So just like EMI was a new concept 20 years ago, SIP is now ghar ghar ki kahani ho rahi hai. But the problem what everybody has is that, okay, how do you understand that I have bought a stock, it has gone up 20%. Should I sell it? How do I know that the stock could be in multi-bagger? We always focus on what to buy. But let's spend some time understanding when to sell.
See, Nikunj, ये बहुत ना specialized काम है.
Okay.
After for you and for the world, you think I am very successful. I publicly admitted that मेरे को पूरा समुंदर था, मैं एक लोटा पानी लेके आ गया.
तो सर एक लोटा तो लिया ना?
मैं लोटा लिया, एक ही लोटा लिया ना, मैं बता रहा हूँ. एक ही लोटा लिया, एक बकेट लिया, right? But the opportunity was very large. This is a very specialized subject, and it's not a part-time job. That you can watch some TV, you can watch one interview, and we can make money. Like you can make income. Wealth creation is a very different subject, right? So if you are really full-time in it, you have all the right to really do it yourself. But if you are not full-time in it, my message is very clear that India is happening. Corrections will happen. There is no doubt about it. The question is, first, do you have a real belief in this country that we are here, like Government of India, going and making a presentation in Davos, saying that our aspiration is to reach to $35 trillion GDP by 2047. The moot question is, do you believe in this direction?
Yes. Which you do.
I do. अब वो 35 होगा कि 28 होगा कि 36 होगा ये मुझे नहीं मालूम है. But direction clear है. अगर आपको वो direction clear है ना, then everything is sorted out. Then you will look at every crisis as I look at opportunity. And then अगर मैंने आपको कितना भी अच्छा समझा दिया निकुंज कि ये बहुत अच्छा एसेट क्लास है, पर आपने डर डर के 5% डाल दिया, अभी 5 का 10 भी हो गए तो क्या होगा? ओवरऑल पोर्टफोलियो 95% तो कहीं और पड़ा है ना. तो डू यू हैव, दैट इज द क्वेश्चन व्हिच आई स्टार्टेड विद, कितना लेना है और कितने समय के लिए लेना है.
So
if you bought moderate companies, I'm saying moderate portfolio, but you put substantial money and have that faith and continue to put money. We have so many examples, Nikunj, in front of our eyes. The guys, like I went with a bucket and I only got a bucket. But I know guys who have got with tankers, who got with to do pump there. They put a pump and the water keeps coming in front of our eyes. Rakesh Bhaiya is one of the examples. Radhakishan ji is one other example.
And they've kept it very simple.
They've kept it very simple.
So if I summarize today's interaction, and we're not done with the interaction, last part is still coming up. What Mr. Kela is saying is very simple. The vision to see, which is what he's sharing, the vision to see in terms of where India has headed. So the vision is very clear that अच्छे दिन नहीं, बहुत अच्छे दिन आने वाले. Courage to buy, which is that what are you buying and what is your commitment level as your aggregate asset allocation. And third, patience to hold. Now vision and courage, I think India is getting, but patience to hold is the key, which is what we've spent some time, that if you want those stock returns which we just identified, then you have to have the patience also to sit for 10-15 years. वो 10-15 साल में पैसा बनाए जी, 10 महीने में और 1 साल में वो पैसा नहीं बनाए. तो अब थोड़ा क्रिकेट की बात करते हैं. क्रिकेट है.
इंडिया इज हैपनिंग बॉस.
इंडिया इज हैपनिंग. फॉर्म में हर जगह हो रहा है.
सब जगह वही बोल रहा है.
क्रिकेट में हो या फिर एशिया में,
क्रिकेट में हो रहा है, G20 में हो रहा है, सब जगह वो दिखता है ना. वो जब आदमी का अच्छा टाइम चलता है तो एक जगह नहीं चलता है, ऑल अराउंड चलता है. दैट इज कंट्री का अच्छा टाइम चल रहा है ना, सब जगह चलेगा.
तो स्टॉक मार्केट के हिसाब से इंडिया का तेंदुलकर कौन है?
I think India as a team will do well. Let's not identify Tendulkar. Even if you have identified a Tendulkar, I would bet on a team.
अच्छा चलिए, तेंदुलकर की बात नहीं करते, सब जानते हैं। शुभमन गिल की बात करते हैं। 3 साल पहले कोई नहीं जानता, तब सब जानते हैं। शुभमन गिल कौन हो सकता है?
We spoke about it, Nikunj. I don't have much really to add on an individual company or individual theme. I spoke my heart out today. I am saying, believe in this country. Like we did not speak about manufacturing. आपको 2 नंबर दूं?
जी हाँ, प्लीज।
गवर्नमेंट ने बोला हमको 2 लाख करोड़ PLI देना है।
राइट।
इट इज रफली 5%। मतलब 40 लाख करोड़ का टर्नओवर करना पड़ेगा। 2 लाख करोड़ देने के लिए 40 लाख करोड़ का टर्नओवर करना पड़ेगा। ऑन एन एवरेज एज्यूम 10-12% EBITDA मार्जिन। तो 5 लाख करोड़ का EBITDA नया बनना पड़ेगा,
नया आना पड़ेगा।
तो मैं PLI दे सकता हूँ।
जी हाँ, इट इज फंक्शन ऑफ हाउ यू डिलीवर।
नाउ इट मे नॉट हैपन इन 5 years, इट विल हैपन इन 6 years, 7 years। पर आपको लगता है कोई इंसेंटिव इंडिया में छोड़ने वाला है?
जी नहीं। And people are rushing farther so that they can get the PLI benefits.
So I am saying now this is a large theme, but when I go to individual companies, of course the stocks are expensive. That is where the sweat is. That is where the hard work is. It's not that everything is expensive or unaffordable. There will be individual companies which you will be able to buy, which will catch this theme.
पिछली बार you sung a song for us on Diwali. तो दिवाली मुस्कान वाली जब भी पूरी होगी जब मधु जी दिल से गाना गाएंगे।
यार निकुंज, आज गाना मत गाना के लिए कभी और मिलते हैं।
चलिए और कभी मिलते हैं। मगर आपने जो बातें बताई है दिवाली मुस्कान वाली, एंड जस्ट बीन सच ए fantastic interaction with Mr. Kela today that I have learnt a lot, and I'm sure viewers would also benefit from it.
I just want to have a proper, because really spoke our heart out.
Yes.
Let's put a proper disclaimer.
Yes.
That anyone who heard, anyone who listened, they should advise, they should take proper advice, consult their own financial advisor. This was purely, any company, any theme, any sector was purely spoken from a educational perspective and to make a point. Right? It was not a recommendation at all.
Okay, I'll speak that disclosure on behalf of Mr. Kela again. Whatever we've discussed examples, we just wanted to enumerate a point. Those are just for reference. That's a disclosure. Please do your own due diligence. But where you don't need to do your due diligence is that you should clearly bet on India. वहाँ पे due diligence की जरूरत नहीं है।
वो मैंने किया due diligence।
नमस्कार, thank you very much. We started with a smile and such a warm smile. So God bless and thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's it. It's back to the studio.